Hello, hello, good day, you beloved stars, you master builders, you beloved, beautiful, shining SUNs. Hello, hello, happy Friday. It is May 23rd of 2025, and this show starts our big long series about the SUN. And I am starting to think, my goodness, Courtney, you didn't think of all the stories and all of the symbolism. You didn't think of everything. So the SUN might even bring us from the summer into the fall, into the beautiful winter solstice. I am thinking so because, man, we have a lot of ground to cover. So, welcome in, Chloe and Seeker of Truth. Shelly, Neil, good to see you. Happy sunrise to everyone. Oh, it is good to be with you. All right, folks. So I did not necessarily know where I wanted to start. I'm truthful about that because there is everything relates back to the SUN. Everything relates back to the SUN. It is our focus. It is there's so much to it. And so in this series, if anything, it's to draw you near to the sun, to acknowledge the sun within, and to not fear what the sun might do in the future. Because a lot of people are noticing the massive sunbursts that are happening. That is going to continue to happen, and it is the cause to a massive effect. Much, much later. Much, much later. But if anything, once we acknowledge the sun within, the sun above, the sun below, the sun around, all the beautiful symbolism, reasons, stories, religions based around the SUN, we won't fear anything, right? So, and thank goodness the sun is shining behind me. It had been many a weeks that the sun had been missing, and I was not doing well. By like the third or fourth week of overcast and rain, I was not well, folks. I am a sun worshiper, but I also am a sun. So, all right, number 38. Every Friday morning when I am live, we pick a card from the sacred geometry deck. So folks out there can learn their sacred geometry. And the deck always supports the message. Um, so I was curious as to what card was going to come out. And the card number 38, Remembrance, came out this morning. And I went, oh my goodness. That's exactly how this message should go today. So if you're new here to Stars of Morning Light, welcome. Please share this out. Consider subscribing. Let's get started, folks. Remembrance. The frequency of remembrance supports our memory of everything that we have gone through as a soul in body, providing us with the valuable information and tools to follow gracefully with and in this life. Remembrance. So, I here at Stars of the Morning Light, I continuously will tell people I do not believe in this concept of learning lessons. I believe in this right here. I believe in remember who you are. Remember who you are. And I'm happy that this card came out because I will be frank with you all. As I was going over the material again this morning, remembrance. We will go back to that card later on. As I was going back through the material this morning, I kind of got heated a bit within because I'm going to ask you all, how many of you think you're a master builder? As we know, the Freemasons are all about being a master builder, number 33, right? All this stuff about 33. How many of you believe you are one? I got kind of all heated in myself because there's a lot of things in the new age movement and communities. It's very fascinating because they have taken things that were in place for thousands and thousands of years, millenniums, um, and they have downgraded them to make them more what people can say digestible or acceptable or, oh, we can manage that. But then at the same time, they introduced all these new things that put more limitations on us. So it's interesting in the new age aspect that it's like, I'm going to put this carrot out here. You can be a master builder. Do you want it? Do you want it? Here's this beautiful carrot. Are you a creator? Are you a master builder? Are you a supreme architect here in 3D? What are you? Like, here's the carrot. You can have this carrot. And we're even going to like downgrade some of these concepts pertaining to alchemy and whatnot. So you can think you can achieve this. Do you want it? Do you want it? But at the same time, we're going to put these concepts out there of, I don't know, your life path number. So if you're a 2, you're far way off. Don't even bother being a master this year or this life. If you're a 7, oh, you're getting kind of close, but you still haven't met your mark. And I'm being a little facetious here and sarcastic because there is so much within the new age that could be completely wiped clear of trying to justify with the reason why. As you are going to learn today, the reason why is we live in the land of chaos. That's it. So we don't need to continuously figure out why with all these lessons we have to learn. What's my life path number? What's this? What's that? We don't have to figure out the why to accept what is in order to move forward and become masters ourselves. Accept the sun within the sun, right? But it does take this, I will say. It usually will take a grand amount of healing, right? That's why the master builder number 33 is usually also represented by the 6 because they have healed greatly enough to step into the authority of master builder. So it does take a great amount of healing. That I'm not going to deny ever. But it truly takes this. Instead of continuously searching for the reasons why things happen, why 3D is so crappy, we can just go, oh, it's the land of chaos. What do I do about it? Well, you heal and then you remember who you are. The reason I'm bringing this up and I'm holding the sacred geometry card up again is A, look at how powerful that geometry um, is to emphasize that let's say you're a life path 2, you're a life path 5, you're a life path what have you. That does not mean that you are not able by birthright, by the fact that you chose to be here, by the fact that you are a soul being that has been around forever and ever and ever. That does not mean that you cannot walk into being a master builder currently, right now, right now. It just requires a grand amount of healing, usually, in order to remember who you are. Right. So, we're going to be talking about this today in regards to the sun. Now, here's the thing, the story, the allegory of Chiram. Some of them might call him Hiram Abiff, but Chiram, the story within that of the Freemasons, their story is extensive in symbology, let's say, and allegory. I'm going to try my best to focus on just the aspect of the sun and maybe the astrological parts, but I am going to kind of go through aspects of it, and we're going to be in, so Lost Keys of the Freemasons or Freemasonry of Manly P. Hall. And we're also going to be in the Secret Teachings of the Ages, Manly P. Hall. So we're covering a bunch of Manly P. Hall. Okay. Um, some people think that Manly P. Hall was a Freemason. He was not. He was commissioned in a way because over time, the Freemasons had lost a lot of their heritage and understanding and ways, right? Their secret rituals and what the understanding of why they were doing what they were doing instead of just doing rituals for no intent or purpose. He was kind of commissioned in a way to take all of the material that they had, that they still have, and put it together, figure it out for them. Because, yeah, those boys lost their way. And so he did that. And he broke down from all of their material the why and the way and the how of the Freemason group, right? That society. Well, after he did that, everybody was so grateful, right? They praised Manly P. Hall for his doings that they made him a notary. They gave him basically, how would I say this? He never did any of the rituals. He never actually partook in anything. They just gave him a validation, as in how hmm, why am I lost on my words? Kind of like, so when I graduated college, my college gave Buddy Guy a a degree. Now, Buddy Guy had never gone to college, right? Buddy Guy is a beautiful blues musician out of Chicago. They gave him an honorary degree, and he performed at my college graduation. It was great because he should have a degree in music because it's Buddy Guy, right? So that same kind of principle, like an honorary degree, an honorary placement, high recognition, they gave Manly P. Hall. Did he accept it? Yeah, sure, whatever, cool. Did he partake in the stuff? No. He just understood their material better than them. So I want to make that very clear that he was not actually a Freemason. Was he an educator? Yes. Of all ancient secrets? Yes. That's why they chose him. But he is not a Freemason. Okay, I just want to make that clear. All right, everybody, good to see you. And yes, so in my humble opinion, there's a lot in the New Age that presents carrots at the same time presents limiting beliefs. So I do have to ask, do you believe you're a master builder? Do you want to be a master builder? Because all of us can be. And it really does relate to, as we're going to talk about today, the regeneration of us souls in a body of form. As Remembrance just said on that card, the regeneration of souls in a body of form. When we get to life path numbers and whatnot, in relation to the fact that you are an SUN, they're obsolete because you've been here so many times over and over and over and again in the land of chaos that at some point you were a master builder number 33 as well, where CHiram comes from, right? This concept. You are that as well. But in that life, I don't know how many lives ago, you chose to not utilize it. Probably because you didn't remember who you were. So therefore, because of forgetfulness, because of fog, because of the error of chaos of 3D, mm, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So you knocked yourself back down again to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. At any point, if you want to be a master builder, if you want to utilize all the skills of creation that are within you, you can do so. You can definitely do so. That's the point of today as you acknowledge the SUN within, you beautiful stars. So, this is going to be the allegory story of CHiram, better known as Hiram Abiff, through the Freemason stories. Fascinating stories. CHiram means universal agent, one in all essence, but three in aspect. So it's interesting. We have Hermes, right? 3 in 1. We have Chiron, 3 in 1. We have this idea of the Trinity, 3 in 1. Lots of threes and ones. I love it. I love it. Before we get into the story, I'm going to read something from the Secret Teachings Throughout the Ages on page 99 that we want to remember, right? And this is from the Rosicrucians, a whole different esoteric society than the Freemasons. So many esoteric groups. Gotta love them. This is from Francis Hartman, who wrote in The Secret Symbols of the Rosicrucians. He defines the sun, S-U-N, alchemy as the symbol of wisdom, the center of power or heart of things. The sun is the center of energy and a storehouse of power. Each living being contains within itself a center of life, which may grow to be a sun, S-U-N. In the heart of the regenerated, the divine power, stimulated by the light of the Logos, grows into a sun which illuminates his mind. Please hold on to that. So the Rosicrucians, love them, they also believe this. We will find out over the summer that all religions stem from the SUN. All religions. They really do. Well, all the ones that are divine. And now we're going to jump to beloved. So think about that. You have a powerhouse. You have some kind of source energy in you. You have some kind of little baby star that can be an SUN within you. Actually, before I start, I'm going to go over the story real quick. This is a synopsis of Chiram, what was going on there. And once again, this is a synopsis. If you choose to study more into the Freemasons and their ideas, who is the grand architect, who is this, who is Chiram, who is all these things, study on your own. I do suggest the Lost Keys to Freemasonry by Manly P. Hall. I can also put a link to this book when I'm done recording here in the description, that if you purchase it through that link, I get a little bit of a kickback, which is nice, folks, considering I'm doing this for your pleasure and mine right now. So, the Freemasons, lots of interesting beliefs. One of the beliefs that I do want to tell you, um, if you can go back in your mind to the second movie of The Matrix. I am not the biggest fan of the Matrix movies, but I do like that they invited the idea in ways that we can discuss, right? The second movie, though, when Neo kind of he gets to that master level, right? And he walks into this white space. And there's this old man sitting there with all those TV screens of all the different timelines and all the different people and all the different stuff. And that old man turns to him and says, I am the architect. That is a concept very much that whole upholds Freemason. There is the Christian father, right? That is not necessarily the same as like the grand architect that the Freemasons talk about. So when we go to read, it's going to be a bit of confusion. Okay. I'm going to try to break down that confusion for you, but try to think of like a grand architect, like that old man in the room with all the TV screens. And then there's lower gods, like the Christian Father, right? Who is the creator of chaos, the 3D world, Baldameth, if we go with that. So, way, way back when King Solomon, so what this is biblical, right? King Solomon wanted to create his temple. He wanted to build this temple. And do know, folks, the Great Temple was not actually all that big. The money that went into it, the power behind it, um, astounding. Astounding. Um, I think it's estimated like in today's world, it'd be like $400 million of worth in this temple and very interesting things, very interesting symbolism and what we would consider blasphemy in today's world as far as worshiping goes. But Solomon wanted to create this. I remember Solomon had this ring. He had this ring and he also had the word from quote unquote God the Father. And this ring and the word gave Solomon the power to have control over Baal, who is the head honcho demon, that he said, hey, little demon that's over all the other demons, I'm going to make you do all the labor. You're going to do the labor. You're going to put this all together for me because I have this ring and I have the word. But yet and still, Solomon needed some humans, like some really good builders, architects that knew how to work with gold, brass, silver, the wood, all of it, right? The cedar cedar in its own representation and properties and qualities is very, very magical and powerful and in its own right. To craft something out of it, whew, y'all. So that's why they chose to only use cedar. There's a lot of reasons why, not just the properties of that kind of wood, but also the spiritual reasons. So they also needed humans. They needed actual architects that could turn to these demons and go, hey, go do this, go do that, go do this. Because Solomon is just, he's a king. He's not out there working. So Solomon contacts his buddy, Hiram, who is another king, who has much of the land of what we consider Jerusalem now, much of the land that is Pakistan, much of the land that is all over the place, right? Syria, all over. He contacts this other king. Well, he says, hey, I've got this guy. Now, the birth of this guy and who he is, CHiram, is up for debate. Did he have like some part Jew to him? Yes. It's said that he's the son of a widow. I think what it is like, let's put this a little hush hush because he is not from royal class, but he is the most master builder ever and he excelled in brass, which is amazing, right? So, all the lands from Egypt, all over, he is the best. He is the best. He is the best. He is the best. So, Solomon's like, yeah, send him forth because maybe he can be the guy that kind of heads up this entire project. I'm controlling the demons. So, why don't we get a very skilled one to tell them all what to do? So, Chiram goes on over. He's like, here, put me to work. Solomon tells him the word that is able to control the demons. Okay. And he starts to get into work. He's like, okay, we're going to build the best temple. The best temple. And he's got this word now to be able to handle all the lower energies. Please remember that. Well, at some point, those demons, 3 of them, probably even more, were like, hey, what's the word? Tell us what the word is. What is the word? You're just a human. Solomon's even got this ring that controls us. But you got the word. And if we got the word, we could probably work better for you, right? Trying to just get the word out of the man. And he refused. And then there's a bit of other stories as well that said that once true construction kind of really got started and he saw what was really kind of going on there, he wanted to retreat. He wanted to pull back. Now, that is speculation. I am not a Freemason. I don't know. But we're going to go with the standard story, as in these demons were asking for the word. And he definitely said no. And at one point, 3 of them, so we got another 3, right? 3 of them attacked him and killed him. And before he dies, he is talking to the grand architect, not the father. It gets confusing. That's why I'm telling this before we start the reading. The grand architect kind of comes through and bypasses the chaos and is talking to Chiram as he's dying. And he talks to him about how he will be coming back. So let's get into it, folks. Let's get into how interesting the symbolism in this is. I am going to do my best to keep it just on the SUN. And maybe we can come back to it later because this goes deep, it goes far, it goes wide, it goes into the regeneration of all of us humans, the death and resurrection of all of us humans. It goes into how we are all the SUN and leads into same as Osiris is a story, Chiram is a story. All of them are stories to symbolize the power that we have. Yeah, you, me, everybody. There is no difference between us and the sun. SUN and SON. There's absolutely zero difference. Zero difference. So, we are going to start I am going to try to read as much as I can today, folks. So I don't know how long this is going to go, but we're together. And I hope you're enjoying and absorbing and thinking of how you too can be a master builder. You too. There is no difference between you and a master. We are going to start in The Lost Keys of Freemasonry by Manly P. Hall. This is actually the prologue, and it is entitled In the Fields of Chaos. That's where we live, folks. Third dimensional living, where we keep trying to find the answers to why. Why does this happen? Why is there so much pain? Why is there so much loss? Why is there so much grief? Why is there so much hurt? Why is there so much violence? Why is there so much hunger? Because it's in the fields of chaos. All right, the prologue, In the Fields of Chaos. The first flush of awakening life pierced the impenetrable expanse of cosmic night. During the darkness of I'm not sure how much I want to read. I'm pausing because there's a great deal here. Yes, I do want to read this. I apologize, folks. I have so many notes. So many notes. I will go back. The first flush of awakening life pierced the impenetrable expansion of cosmic night during the darkness of notion into the dim twilight of unfolded being. Silhouetted against the shadowy gateways of eternity, the lonely figure of mystic stranger stood upon the Nubious banks of swirling substance. Swirling substance. Those who have been here for a long time, that swirling substance is the waters of creation. The swirling substance is the virgin waters of creation, is the Akashic records, is where all creation is sprung from, right? The living waters of creation, the spring of life. Okay? So, we're saying the first flash of awakening life pierced the impenetrable expanse of cosmic night during the darkness of notion into the dim twilight of unfolding being. Silhouetted against the shadowy gateways of eternity. The lonely figure of mystic stranger stood upon the Nubious banks of swirling substance, robed in a shimmering blue mantle of mystery and his head encircled by a golden crown of dazzling light. The darkness of chaos fled before the rays that poured like streams of living fire from his form divine. I'm pausing, folks. Take that in. For some cosmos greater far than ours, this mystic visitor came, answering the call of the divinity. From star to star, he strode and from the world to universe he was known, yet forever concealed by the filmy garments of chaotic night. Suddenly the clouds broke, and the wondrous light descended from somewhere among the seething waves of force. It bathed this lonely form in a radiance celestial, each sparkling crystal of mist, gleaming like a diamond bath in the living fire of the divine. In the gleaming flame of the cosmic light, bored by the dark clouds of not being two great forms, appeared, and a mighty voice thrilled eternity. Each sparkling atom pulsated with the powers of the Creator's word, while the great blue robed figure bowed in awe before the footstool of his Maker. As a hand reached down from heaven, its fingers extended the benediction. I don't know what I'm going to keep going because I really do want to explain a lot of this stuff, but I think I should keep going. Of all creation, I have chosen you, and upon you my seal is placed. You are the chosen instrument of my hand, and I point you to be the builder of my temple. You shall raise its pillars and tile its floor. You shall ornament it with metals and with jewels, and you shall be the master of my workmen. In your hands I place the plans, and here on the tracing board of living substance, I have impressed the plan you are to follow, tracing its every ladder and angle in the fiery lanes of my moving finger. Abraham Abith, chosen builder of your father's house, up to your work. Yonder are the fiery clouds, the gray mist of dawn, the gleams of heavenly light, and the darkness of the sleep of creation. From these shall you build, without the sound of hammer or the voice of workmen, the temple of your God, eternal in heavens. The swirling, ceaseless motion of notion you shall chain to grind your stone. Among these spirits of not being shall you slack your lime and lay your footings. For I have watched you through the years of your youth. I have guided you through the days of your manhood. I have weighed in the balance, and you have not been found wanting. Therefore, to you give I the glory of work, and here ordained you as the builder of my house. Unto you I give the word of the master builder. Unto you I give the tools of the craft. Unto you I give the power that has been vested in me. Be faithful unto these things. Bring them back when you have finished, and I will give you the name known to God alone. So mote it be. So before I continue, Solomon wants to build this temple. CHiram gets there and he's like, cool, great temple, right? And unfortunately, I do the same thing. I think because we only know what we know and we only know through the eyes of our own perception. And we tend to grow up thinking that everybody's worshiping the same thing. Everybody's thinking the same thing. Everybody is a good human. And then we are adults and we get out there more in the world and we realize, whoa, no. And some of us learn this, sooner than later. So CHiram gets there and he's like, wow, he's got a bunch of demons working for him. This temple is interesting, right? Well, take this. So he's working. And there's like this other god that Solomon is building this temple for, who gave him the ring and the word to be over the demons. Well, then all of a sudden, this newer architect God comes through and goes, "Hey, you're actually going to be the one to build this temple. You're going to be the one that has control over everything, really, because I don't know what's going on here. And I am above what's going on with this chaos." And we get this because we get it from all the description. We get it from all the description. Watch. The darkness of chaos fled before the rays that poured like streams of the living fire from his form divine. So this is where this is read, educate. This is going to be my opinion. You can read and educate yourself and believe whatever you want to believe. The majority of the time, the father of the designed Christian Bible is not God the Father that, in my humble opinion, Christ the Master was referencing. It's more this guy, where the chaos and the darkness fled from his light. When most of the time we can read and learn that Baldamith, the bastard son, was given Earth to create the chaos, and he kind of just took it, really. Created the chaos. That is what some mistakenly think is God the Father that Christ the Master is communicating with. I do not believe so. But that is because from all of the scene material like this, all over the place, even other stories that are in relation to the Christ consciousness story, there's different parts going on here. This God, though, think about that. He's such a God, like the architect, the grand architect, the God, and not source. That's a different thing. That when he comes into form and he's walking around all the stars, talking to them, he's walking around the whole cosmos, he's just doing his thing. The darkness of chaos fled before the rays that poured like streams of living fire from his form divine, meaning he took on a form and he was wearing a blue robe, robed in a shimmering blue mantle of mystery, and his head encircled by a golden crown of dazzling light. Now, the patrons here at Stars of Morning Light, they know what gold means and they know what blue means. For some cosmos greater far than ours, meaning definitely not in what we understand as our cosmic system, our environment controlled by the chaos. This is far out there. This mystic visitor came. How awesome. And he, after CHiram has been in Jerusalem for a while going, whoa, what the hell's going on here? He came to say, hey, you're actually going to build my temple. Because, like, we're going to override what's really happening here. Because you're a master builder. You're the SUN. I'm giving you the power to really kind of override the construction and make it for me. So not only does he have the word from a much higher God than the God of chaos that Solomon has, who was told to then control demons with. Weird, right? So not only does he have the word from Solomon, he also has now a word from a much greater source to be able to override everything and to be able to create and build without having to cut anything, without ever having to hammer on anything. It is the word of creation. It's knowing the power and that swirling. Because I want to go back to the swirl, folks. Because that swirling came back into play now, didn't it? The swirling, ceaseless motion of notion you shall chain to grind your stones. Notion could be also intent here, people. Among these spirits of not being, shall you slack your lime and lay your footings. For I have watched you through the years of your youth. Through this energy, form out of the formless, through the swirling waters of creation that you can do whatever you want with, this is how you will grind your stones. This is how you're going to lay your lime, lay your footings. This is how you're going to do everything. These demons can't do nothing with this. Right? Right, beloveds? We're following. I have weighed you in the balance, and you have not been found wanting. I didn't know if I would say it today, but I guess I do. When we think of ourselves as master builders, unfortunately, we live in a world that thinks that we have to take in order to create. That is not so. We do not need to take in order to create. I have weighed you in the balance, and you have not been found wanting. Therefore, to you I give the glory of work, and there ordained you as the builder of my house. Unto you I give the word of the master builder. Unto you I give the tools of the craft. Unto you I give the power that has been vested in me, the ultimate architect, the grand architect. Be faithful unto these things. Bring them back when you have finished, and I will give you the name known to God alone. So mote it be. The great light died out of the heavens. The streaming fingers of living light vanished in the mist. Lonely twilight, and again covered not being with its subtle mantle. Abraham Abiff again stood alone, gazing out into the endless ocean of oblivion. Nothing but swirling, seething matter as far as the eye could see. Then he straightened his shoulders and taking a thrust board, I'm not sure what that is, in his hands. Oh, he's probably going to start designing. Let's say that. In his hands and collapsing to his heart the glowing word of the master, walking slowly away, and was swallowed up in the midst of primordial dawn. So he is taken to see these waters of creations. He knows how it works. He's like, okay, let me figure out how I want to use this now, right? If I can create anything or everything that I could possibly be for the ultimate architect, how do I want to do that? But as he's thinking of this, he is then swallowed up by the primordial dawn back into 3D. How may men measure timeless eternity? Ages passed, and the lonely builder labored with his plan with only love and humility in his heart. His hand molding the darkness which he blessed while his eyes were raised above where the great light had shined down from heaven. Hmm. I do apologize. Some of these words we would put into past tense. In the divine solitude he labored, with no voice to cheer, no spirit to condemn, alone in the boundless all with the great chill of the morning mist upon his brow, but his heart still warm with the light of the Master's word. It seemed a hopeless task. No single pair of hands could mold that darkness, that single heart, no matter how true, could be great enough to project pulsing cosmic love into the cold mist of oblivion. Through the darkness, settled over closer by him, and the misty fingers of notion twined around his being, still with divine trust, the builder labored. With divine hope, he laid his footings, and from the boundless clay he made the molds to cast his sacred ornaments. Slowly the building grew, and the dim forms molded by the master's hand took shape about him. So even though doubt crept in, even though he questioned, how do I do this? Can this be done? How do you create form out of formless? I'm not sure if this can happen. In silence, he never even used the word given to him. In silence, with no one cheering him on, but then also no naysayers around. He focused on the love, the divine. He focused on the trust that he was told he can. And he kept going and kept going. 3 huge, soulless creatures had the master fashioned, great beings which loomed like grim specters in the semi-darkness. They were 3 builders he had blessed, and salt now in stately file they passed before him. And Hiram held out his arms to his creation, saying, "Brothers, I have built you for your works. I have formed you I have formed you to labor with me in the building of the master's house. You are the children of my being, and I have labored with you. Now labor with me for the glory of God." But the specters laughed, turning upon their maker and striking him with his own tools, given him by God out of heaven. They left their Grand Master dying in the midst of his labors, broken and crushed by the threefold powers of cosmic night. As he lay bleeding at the feet of his handiwork, the martyred builder raised his eyes to the seething clouds, and his face was his face was sweet with divine love and cosmic understanding as he prayed on to the Master who had sent him forth. So, while he was also building, he was blessing things the whole time. He is blessing, 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 blessing. Now, this is where the tricky part comes in different interpretations of this story. Some Freemasons will say those were 3 of the demons that were working under Baal because the names that they have are associated with Baal. But then we read this and that he blessed them. Um, Three huge soulless creatures had the master fashioned, great beings which loomed like grim specters in the semi-darkness. They were three builders he had blessed, and now in they passed before him. I believe that they were demons that he blessed to, as we would maybe do like a baptism, right? Like we would. And that's the whole point of baptism, is to be bathed in the living waters of creation anew. Trust and believe that you can through the SUN. I believe he was blessing things all along to try to override, change what was really happening with Solomon's temple. But, they didn't really get an awakening. They didn't really, what's that called when you, hmm, like not the anointing, but I'm trying to think of like the word for when you come to the light, I guess you would say. So they turned against him. But the spectres laughed, turning upon their maker and striking him with his own tools. So as he lay there dying, he prayed unto the master who had sent him forth. O master of workmen, great architect of the universe, my labors are not finished. Why must they always remain undone? Don't we all ask that question? Isn't that why we continuously think we have lessons? Why must they always remain undone? I have not completed the thing for which thou hast sent me on to be. For my very creations have turned against me, and the tools thou gavest me have destroyed me. The children that I formed in love, in their ignorance, have murdered me. It is a shame. So there, like I said, there's two ideas: that he created them, but he also, it was him trying to create them anew. What does that refer to? And I'm sorry, if anybody can think of it, please leave a comment below as to what is that term when you become like a newborn Christian? Newborn? No, like what is that term? Because that's what I'm referencing, as if they were already demons. Because other stories out there, like if you Googled right now, that's how those will read. That he was trying to bless the demons and get them on the right path. But this here talks about how he created them as well. Um, I can't think of the name of it, but we continue. The children that I formed in love, in their ignorance, have murdered me. Here, Father, is the word thou gave me, now read with my own blood. O Master, I return to thee, for I have kept it sacred in my heart. Here are the tools, the tracing board, and the vessels I have worked. Around me stand the ruins of my temple, which I must leave. Unto thee, O God, the divine knower of all things, I return them all, realizing that thy good time lies the fulfillment of all things. Thou, O God, knowest our downsitting and our uprising, and thou understanding our thoughts afar off. In thy name, Father, I have labored, and in thy cause I die, a faithful builder. The master fell back, his upturned face sweet in the last sorry. repose to death, the light rays no longer pouring from him. The gray clouds gather closer as through form a winding sheet around the body of their murdered master. Suddenly the heavens opened up. So grasp, that was his last words. Like, I'm so sorry I was not able to fulfill my work. I'm sorry. Here's my tools. Here's the word and the power that you gave me. I'm going to give it back to you. I never even used it, really. I never told anybody. I held it in my heart. I didn't use it. So I guess I'm going to lose it now. And he falls back. And as he's dying, the darkness starts to shroud around him, starts to come around, form a winding sheet around the body of their murdered master. So these demon beings, the darkness, the chaos, suddenly the heavens opened again, and a shaft of light bathed the form of Hiram in a glory celestial. Again, the voice spoke from the heavens where the great king sat upon the clouds of creation. He is not dead, he is asleep. Who will awaken him? His labors are not done, and in death he guards the sacred relics more closely than ever, for the word and the tracing board are his. I have given them to him, but he must remain asleep until these three who have slain him shall bring him back to life. For every wrong must be righted, and the slayers of my house, the destroyers of my temple, must labor must labor in place of their builder until they rise their master from the dead. The three murderers fell on their knees and raised their hands to the heaven as though to ward off the light which had disclosed their crime. O God, great is our sin, for we have slain your grand master, Hiram. Just as thy punishment, and as we have slain him, we now dedicate our lives to his resurrection. The first was our human weakness, the second our sacred duty. Be it so, answered the voice from heaven. The great light vanished, and the clouds of darkness and mist concealed the body of the murdered master. It was swallowed up in the swirling darkness, which left no mark, no gravestone to mark the place where the builder had laid. "O God," cried the three murderers, "where shall we find our master now?" A hand reached down again from the great unseen, and a tiny lamp was handed them, whose oil flame burned slightly and clearly in the darkness. "By this light shall ye seek him whom you have slain." The three forms surrounded the light and bowed in prayer and thanksgiving for this solitary gleam, which was to light the darkness of their way. For somewhere above, in the regions of not being the great voice spoken, a thundering voice that filled chaos with its sound. He cometh forth as a flower and is cut down. He f- he flee also as a shadow, and continue not, as the waters fail from the sea, and the flood decayeth and drieth up, so man lieth down and riseth not again. Yet have I compassion upon the children of my creation. I administer unto them in time of trouble, and save them in the everlasting salvation. Seek ye where the broken twig lies, and the dead stick molds away, where the clouds float together and the stones rest by the hillside. For all these mark the grave of CHiram, who was carried by my will with him to the tomb. This ethereal quest is yours until ye have found your builder, until the cup giveth up its secret, until the grave giveth up its ghost. No more shall I speak until you have found and raised my beloved Son, and have listened to the words of my messenger, and with him as your guide have finished the temple which I shall have inhabited. Amen. I'm going to finish this. The gray dawn still lay asleep in the arms of the darkness. Out through the great mystery of the not being, all was silence unknowable. Through the misty dawn, like strange phantoms of a dream, three figures wandered over the great unknown, carrying in their hand a tiny light, a lamp given to them by their builder's father. Over stick and stone and cloud and star they wandered, eternally in search of a silent grave, stopping again and again to explore the depths of some mystic recess, praying for the liberation of their endless search, yet bound by their vows to rise the builder they had slain, whose grave was marked by the broken twig, and whose body was laid away in the white, windy sheath of death somewhere over the bow of the eternal hill. Sounds a whole lot like the fog, doesn't it? And all these references in biblical ways to the light, to the lamp, to the oil. Do you have oil for your lamp? Do not let your lamp go out. That we keep searching and searching and searching as to how to rise again this master builder. We just keep doing it over and over again. Looking and looking. Do you know what those three were? Those, pardon me, those demons of such. And there's a picture here that I will hold up, but I do not think it'll come through great. But that is an old painting. These three murderers are perverted thought, uncurbed emotions, and destructive actions. Perverted thought. And that could be in any way, shape, or form, right? That could be of perversion, jealousy, greed, take, hate, judgment, all of it. Uncurbed emotions, all the emotions that tell you that you're justified in those thoughts. And destructive actions based on those thoughts. Those are the three murderers. The three murderers that slay the spirit of life in man and bring down the temple of creation in ruins about their own heads. In the ancient mysteries, women symbolize the emotional nature of man. That's why in the picture, it would show that. Emotional access is one of the slayers of the universal energy. But what I find interesting too is when you read other texts, that thunderous voice that said, "You just slain my child. I will have compassion on you, but you are now going to have to come again and wander and wander and wander. And until you overcome all that lower density, perverted thought, curbed emotions, destructive actions, until you do that, you are going to be seeking. You're going to do nothing but seek, and you're going to live in cause and effect of your seeking in the darkness. You're seeking in forgetfulness. You're seeking within the fog. But thank goodness that thunder that spoke, which in other let's say religious unseen uh ideas, that is actually Sophia. She speaks to us in thunder, the goddess of wisdom. Wisdom spoke and said, "Whoa, you just killed my kid. Um, I'm gonna give you a second chance, but it's gonna take you a long ass time because that was a very special one." So, why are we continuously to look for the why instead of just accepting we live in chaos and we have to remove and heal so we can have triumph over perverted thought, uncurbed emotions, erratic emotions, emotions that justify the thoughts and the actions, and destructive actions. Interesting, right? Interesting, right? Hmm. We have to get past all that lower self, all that lower self. And we might be coming back to this, beloveds, because it is also described as Chiram is the equivalent of the pineal gland. Chiram is the equivalent of the sun, which is also the equivalent of the pineal gland. And all of this stuff, as we're not going to cover so much of that today, maybe I'll go back to it. All of this stuff is for you to take that beautiful, thank goodness, lamp of life, spark, as some might call it, and grow it and grow it and grow it and let it shine. Let me remind you of what we read at the very beginning. The secret symbols of the Rosicrucians. Francis Hartman defines the sun alchemy as the symbol of wisdom. So I will tell you, wisdom does not include perverted thought or uncurbed emotions or destructive action. Wisdom has zero of that. The sun alchemy as the symbol of wisdom, the center of power or heart of all things. The sun is the center of energy and a storehouse of power. Each living being contains within itself a center of life, which may grow to be a sun, sun, in the heart of regeneration. We keep coming back, but in the heart, in that lamp, in that light of in the darkness, in the heart of regenerated, the divine power, stimulated by the light of logos, grows into a sun which illuminates his mind, illuminates your mind, illuminates. Oh, beloveds, 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 beloveds. There is no difference between us and a master. No difference. except we continuously allow the thought, the emotions, the destructive actions because we keep focusing on seeking. We keep focusing on seeking instead of squashing those. Now, this is going to be my last little bit. What time are we at? We got enough time. Yes, we do. This is going to be my last little bit. And we might come back to this. Like I said, why not? It's an awesome story that brings in a lot of understanding. This is going to start talking about um the astrology aspects of this story and in its relation. So, Chiram is in essence like the sun. Same as the Christ consciousness is the same as the sun. Even Christ, the Jesus, the man, said that. The sun. All of the masters, the sun. There's a whole I have to find this painting, but I'm going to read this because they talk about it briefly on the part that we are going to read. This is a description of a painting, and I need to find that painting. And if once I do, I will, because there's no, I don't know I have no name of the painting, nor no picture, but I will describe it, and then I'm going to jump into the astronomy story aspects to all this. Okay. So now we are in the secret teachings of all the ages. And welcome everybody in. I'm not sure if I said good day to everyone. I see Big Dad standing tall. Good to see you. I see Susie K in the house. Good to see you, dear. I know Seeker and Chloe have been here. Thank you for all coming. If you like what you hear here, please give a thumbs up, share it out, leave a comment below. You will hear at Stars of Morning Light. Tons of information will always be presented. It will try to be presented in a beautiful, inspiring light, but it also might be presented a little bit differently than the quote unquote box that people like to live in. So, I'm going to give a brief description of this painting in relation to sunbursts because they bring it up again within the story of Chiram that we were just talking about. There is an oriental painting which shows 3 sunbursts. So once again, 3 sunbursts, 3 sun. One sunburst covers the head, and in the midst of which sits Brahma with 4 heads, his body a mysterious dark color. The second sunburst, which covers the heart, solar plexus, the upper abdomen region, shows Vishnu sitting in the blossom of the lotus on a couch formed of coils of serpent of cosmic motion. Its 7 hooded head forming a canopy over the god. The third sunburst is over the generative system, in the midst of which sits Shiva, his body a grayish white, and the Ganges River flowing out from the crown of his head. This painting was a work of a Hindu mystic who spent many years subtly concealing great philosophical principles within these figures. The Christian legends could be related also to the human body by the same method as the Oriental, for the arcane meanings hidden in the teachings of both schools are identical. Whoa. So there is a painting out there. I will find it. I will find it. I'm not sure. It's like in my mind, I feel like I've seen that painting before and just went, whoa, what the heck? I have to find what that painting is, and hopefully maybe I can pull it up and do a little bit of teaching on that, like a side video to this. Take that in though, folks. The Hindu mystic and the Christian legends, the Freemason legends here, all these stories, right? For the arcane meanings hidden in the teachings of both schools are identical. Now we're going to drop down, folks. The astronomical aspect of Hermic legend must not be overlooked. The tragedy of CHiram is enacted annually by the sun during its passage through the signs of the zodiac. So just another allegory way for us to remember that as above, so below, so above, as within, so without. There's no difference between us and the cosmos. The cosmos is within us. Let's go. From the journey of the sun through the 12 signs, writes Albert Pike, come the legend of the 12 labors of Hercules and the incarnations of Vishnu and Buddha. Hence came the legend of the murder of Chiram, representative by the sun, by the three fellow crafts, symbols of the winter signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, who assailed him at the three gates of heaven and slew him at the winter solstice. This will be explained. Hence the search for him by the 9 fellow crafts, the other 9 signs, his finding, burial, and resurrection. Let's go into it, folks. Other authors consider Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius as the 3 murderers of the sun. That is actually true. There are many that will subscribe to that aspect of this story more so than not. So they consider Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius as the 3 murderers of the sun, inasmuch as Osiris was murdered by Phaeton, to whom were assigned the 13 degrees of the constellation of Scorpio. 30 degrees of the constellation of Scorpio. In the Christian mysteries, also Judas signifies the scorpion, and the 30 pieces of silver for which he betrayed his Lord represent the number of degrees in that sign. You know what? Before we go further, I do want to put in there. So, in a lot of ways, in ancient forms with Scorpio, and I'm not going to go into all of Scorpio. Scorpio, though, is known as the sign of transmutation, the sign of death and resurrection. That is why it's known as the phoenix, right? It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. So, in this case, if Scorpio might be even a forerunner in this murderous aspect, it's also there to help you slay that lower self, perverted thought, destructive actions, uncurbed emotions. That is a whole lot of what Scorpio is about, is the transmutation, growth, regeneration, and the rising out of the ashes, right? But there might have had to been, maybe it started something first. And it is considered 30 degrees. Having been struck by Libra, the state, Scorpio, the church, and Sagittarius, the mob, the sun, Chiram, is secretly born through the darkness by the signs of Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, and buried over the bow of the hill. And when they said bow of the hill, they also, in quote, in parentheses, it says the spring equinox. Capricorn has for its symbol an old man with, think of the Grim Reaper. Think of what we would cut wheat with. I don't know if people know this word anymore. His This is in representation of Father Time. Unfortunately, Father Time over hundreds of years became actually the Grim Reaper. I don't know if people know that. Father Time is, or the Grim Reaper originally was Father Time with his sheath that would, his big, who is symbolized in Masonry as slightened out of riglets or ridgets of a young girl's hair. Hmm. So in Mason, that's new for everybody. I'm gonna assume. So in Freemasonry, hmm, it's also the curls or the riglets of a girl's hair. That's interesting, which makes sense. Which makes sense. If the weeping virgin be considered a symbol of Virgo, and Father Time with his teeth a symbol of Capricorn, then the interval of 90 degrees between these two signs will be found to correspond to that occupied by the three murderers. Esoterically, the urn containing the ashes of CHiram represents the human heart, the light. Saturn, the old man who lives at the North Pole and brings with him to the children of men a spring of evergreen, the Christmas tree, which is familiar to the little folk under the name of Santa Claus, for he brings each winter the gift of New Year. They're talking about the winter solstice, right? The martyred son, Chiram, that we were just talking about, the martyred son, S-U-N or S-O-N, Chiram, the martyred son is discovered by Aries, a fellow craftsman. And at the spring equinox, the process of rising him begins. This is finally accomplished by the Lion of Judah, who in ancient times occupied the position of the keystone of the royal arc of heaven. That's August. That's Leo. The process, or sorry, the precision of the equinoxes causes various signs to play the role of murderers of the sun during the different ages of the world. But the principle involved remains unchanged. Such is the cosmic story of Chiram, the universal benefactor, the fiery architect of the divine house, who carries with him to the grave that lost word, which, when spoken, rises all life to power and glory. According to Christian mysticism, when the lost word is found, it is discovered in the subtle, surrounded, sorry, that word was cut off. Christian mysticism, when the lost word is found, it is discovered in the stable, surrounded by beasts and marked by a star, hence the birth of the Jesus Christ consciousness in a body of form. After the sun leaves Leo, writes Robert Hewitt Brown, the days begin to grow unequivocally shorter as the sun declines towards the autumn equinox, to be again slain by the three autumn months, lay, lay dead through the three winter ones, and be rised again by the three spring ones. Each year the great tragedy is repeated, and the glorious resurrection takes place. So, we just talked about the story of Chiram, but it can be used also as an allegory of the son being slain, but then being raised again. How often do we get that from the planetary cosmic, right? We get that from our own weather system here, the different seasons. We get that from old stories of Osiris, of Chiram, of the Christ, of all sorts of stories. I'm talking about the sun. Chiram is termed dead because in the average individual, the cosmic creative forces are limited in their manifestation to purely physical and correspondingly materialistic expressions. Obsessed by his belief in the reality and premise of physical existence, men man does not correlate the material universe with the blank north wall of the temple. As the solar light symbolically is said to die as it approaches the winter solstice, so the physical world may be termed the winter solstice of the spirit. Hmm. Reaching the winter solstice, the sun apparently stands still for 3 days, and then rolling away the stone of the winter, begins its triumphant march north towards the summer solstice. The condition of ignorance may be likened to the winter solstice of philosophy, spiritual understanding to the summer solstice. I'm going to read that again. The condition of ignorance may be linked to the winter solstice of philosophy. So the dying away of the light of philosophy, spiritual understanding to the summer solstice, the death, burial, resurrection. From this point of view, initiation into the mysteries becomes the spring equinox of the spirit, at which time the Chiram in man, the Chiram, who we were just talking about, the sun, sun, in man, crosses from the realm of mortality into that eternal life. The autumn equinox is agregorious to the mythological fall of man, at which time the human spirit descended into the realms of Hades by being immersed in the illusions of trinsical existence. In an essay on the beautiful, give me just a moment. Please take all this in, folks. In every single story, it is a representation of the sun within and around. In an essay on the beautiful, that is the title of the essay, folks. An essay on the beautiful. Pythias describes the refining effect of beauty upon the unfolding consciousness of man. Commissioned to decorate the everlasting house, Chiram Abif is the embodiment of the beautifying principle. Beauty is essential to the natural unfoldment of the human soul. The mysteries held that man, in part at least, was the product of his environment. Therefore, they considered it imperative that every person be surrounded by objects which would invoke the highest and noblest sentiments. They provided that it was possible to produce beauty in life by surrounding life with beauty. They discovered that symmetry. Sorry, they discovered that. I don't know if I have to read all this. I'm going to skip down. It goes into the idea of creating beauty as like an architect. They're talking about the symmetry of the body and the symmetry of what we see around us. They talk about when it is not beauty or not noble, not um when it's done in ignorance, when it's done by the illusion of what beauty is, right? If it's disproportioned, then we're going to have disproportioned communities, children, societies. We're going to have things that fall and collapse continuously. Thoughtful men of antiquity realized that their great philosophers were the natural products of the altruistic ideas of architecture, music, and art, established as the standards of cultural systems of the time. So it's interesting that if I started with asking, are you a master builder? Are you a master builder? Well, let's look at what parts we need. Okay, we need to look around where we're at. Is there something maybe that we're not okay with? Like how CHiram looked around and went, whoa, what kind of temple is being built here? Who is building it? If we look around and see that it might not be kosher, that it might not be okay, that's first. Acknowledging. Acknowledgement. Okay. Yeah, this does not jive. This is not good. Then believe. Believe that you are given that light, that you are capable of. Even when the doubt comes in because you're looking at all the stuff around, even if you believe that you have the power of creation within, because I'm hoping somebody told you, I'm telling you now, you do. It's part of that lamp. Believe. And then do it in silence. Do it in silence. You don't need to be telling everybody your business. You don't need to listen to the naysayers, nor do you need to have anybody's opinions on how it should be, how it should look, what's going on. Do it in silence and trust. Silence and trust. Silence and trust. Don't give up, right? That's the next one. Even though doubt came in, he kept going. In silence and trust, he just kept building. Just kept building. And then we're told here that even though all throughout our life it's going to be up and down, winter, spring, summer, fall, the sun will come and the sun will go. The faith will come, the faith will go. The trust will come, the trust will go. All of it throughout the seasons of our lives. The biggest thing that we can focus on in any of those times is not to seek the beauty, not to seek the wisdom, but to create the beauty, create the wisdom. Because from the beauty holds so much wisdom for us. Hence, our sacred geometry. I will hold it up. You beautiful SUNs, just remember who you are. You are a master builder, regardless of what your life path number is, regardless of what others may say, regardless of what season you are in right now in your life. You are a master builder. You are an SUN. I will read the card of remembrance to you one more time. As I held that card up, I'll hold it one more time. The frequency of remembrance supports our memory of everything that we have gone through as a soul in body, providing us with the valuable information and tools to flow gracefully with and in this life. You have all the tools. Remember, we were talking about how the grand architect, appreciated how Chiram was going to give back all of his tools. And the grand architect went, no, 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 no. I gave those to you. I don't want them back. I gave them to you. We just got to remember we have them, beloveds. We have all the tools to create form out of the formless, to return beauty to this land, to our lives, to the lives of others, to have that beauty override whatever corruption and darkness may be. We have the connection to the living waters, but it does take remembering and acknowledging that everything that Chiram had and was and is, so do we. So do we. And it starts with acknowledging that light within, that can grow to be an SUN, that power within you that can grow to be an SUN. We will be exploring the SUN in so many various ways throughout 2025. So please stick with us, everybody. Oh, okay. So Shelly, Seeker of Truth, just told me the name of that painting that I need to look up. Thank you, Seeker. See, it takes a community. She's an artist in the group. I don't know art like that, especially not the names. So thank you, beloved. I need to look that up and do a little side video to this one. Thank you for coming, everybody. Enjoy. Come back to Stars of Morning Light to continuously acknowledge that you are an SUN and not a possible, not a maybe, not a perhaps, but you are the great I am. Bye, folks. Love to all.